Hello and welcome to this edition of TMA's Farm Margin Talk. This is Devin Sherling, Grain Marketing Manager for TMA. So as we take a look at our Farm Margin Index for close of business on July the 22nd, 2011, you'll notice that there's very little change from this week's post from last week's. Although we've saw a lot of volatility throughout the week with major moves in all four of our main commodities, we really at the end of the day saw very little change in at the farm gate profitability. But one thing I want to draw your attention to is once again, although we look outside and see how dastardly our conditions can be in several parts of our territory, there are very good opportunities for 2012 that are available today, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next couple of slides. So as we look at how we came up with those numbers, this is just the detail behind the Farm Margin Index, and as you can see, it's based off of our local Groveland cash prices. So today we want to talk about soybean profitability, and once again we need to talk about a couple of assumptions. For irrigated beans, we're going to use a 55 bushel APH or yield. We're going to assume $469 of expenses, and we're going to use a 10-50-50 NPK blend. For dryland beans, we're going to use a 30 bushel yield and a $268 of expenses, as well as the same 10-50-50 NPK blend. So as we look at irrigated soybeans in a historical revenue graph, remember that revenue is our posted new crop cash price times our expected yield. So as you can see, since January 11th of 2011 to where we're at today, we've seen very little movement in our soybean profitability. And when you compare that back to July of 2008, where we reached our peak revenue opportunities, you were less than $100 an acre away from those revenues. So as we're looking to make decisions on the beans we have, keep this in mind and also look at what that looks like for our 2012 crop. In this chart right here, you can see on the left hand we talk about our 2012 projected profitability, which is at 199. But if you look at this crop, it breaks it down by each crop year from 2006 to 2011. And what you'll notice here is the 2011 crop year, just like the previous graph, is extremely flat and has seen very little movement since January, especially in comparison to the other years. So as we get into our summer heat and beans are kind of trying to put on pods, look for some volatility increases to take place and make sure you have the right marketing plan going forward. As we look at dryland beans, the year on year, now this one goes from 2007 to 2011, looks very similar with a very flat pattern in comparison to previous years. But look at the $97 an acre of potential revenue. If you drag that line all the way across, that's a level that we haven't seen yet for the 2011 crop year. So have a profit goal in mind and lock it in when it's available if it meets your farming operations needs. So what's our margin movers going forward? The first thing is, what are our corn ending stocks going to be? So with the USDA report coming out, that's going to be a very big mover of corn and what we view our national average yield to be. You can see here that anywhere from Pro Farmer at 156 to Informa at 162.5, what those range guesses are. So have a goal in mind and be ready for this report as it comes out. And we all know how this guy feels. The heat has been excruciating in a lot of our territories, and that's going to continue to be a margin mover for us going forward. So if you have any additional questions, contact your TMA grain marketing or crop insurance specialist. Thank you and have a great weekend.